that is the reflection of the direction that we're going. So listen, if you're seeing me for the first time, hello, I'm Master Naima, and I bring fellow masters out into the marketplace powerfully and profitably. Master is the correct title and position for people who call themselves witches and shamans and oracles and mystics and mavericks and particularly those who are natural born, not those who got excited about it and decided to go study it and then share that with the world, which is totally okay. But they have a different wiring from those who were born as such. All right, so now that that's out the way. So this last maybe month or so, I have been showing up doing video. I have been producing content, and I've been watching the replays of those videos, and my energy has not been at what I know it can be. And I told myself before I did the first one, when I called myself re-emerging into the marketplace, that Naima, just get back in the game. It's time for you to start getting back in the game, because it was time for me to start getting back in the game, even if I wasn't at my vibrant, energetic level. And I knew that with the mindset and with the commitment and with the plan that I would catch up to where it is that I was going. Because here's a nugget for you. You make a decision based on where you're going, not based on where you're at. Okay? You make the decision based on where you're going, not based on where you're at. That's like 101 mindset shit. So maybe preaching to the choir on that one. Anyway, so here I be, this whole new woman who has had a very trying year. Trying meaning I was in Bali in summer, like July or something like that, deciding if I was even going to stay here on planet Earth. And it wasn't this like, dramatic scene that I think most people think of when they think of suicide. But it was more so like, I feel like I've done it. The higher game, let me go there, right? Because that's really what was the space is what I was really dealing with while I was in Bali. There was like, okay, I've done so much of the material stuff. I've created the 7-figure business. I've had all the material stuff. I've traveled exhaustively to everywhere I've wanted to travel. And if I even did another one, would it even increase my happiness? Just all the things, the material things that I think is, most people do want, but it's not the most rewarding thing. Not for masters, at least, because we have a different wiring. And so I was in this place of, okay, I've done that, and I'm not really sure I want to go play this higher game, because from what I can see thus far is that the game that I'm looking to play, I don't see anybody else playing it. Yes, I see 8-figure coaches and, folks who are crushing it and making lots of money, but making lots of money, that's not the thing that's going to drive me from where I am right now. This is the conversation I was having with myself in Bali in July. That is not what's going to drive me right now making lots more money, because I see lots more money from right here, right now, doing more of the same. And I'm not interested in doing more of the same. I want to play this much higher game. And I'm not going to talk more about, the essence and the power and the thing that I was seeing that had me not right at that time. What I want to get at is what I knew that it was going to take immense power. I knew that it was going to take, hi, Heather. I knew that it was going to take immense power. And at the time, I had very large fibroids. And I didn't want to go through any medical shit, because I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be here, so why even bother? Okay, now keep in mind, I'd had these fibroids for years. And so it was like, I don't even know if I want to be here. So what was happening was my energy was like, not good. Like I was dying. I was fucking dying. Like, I broke out in this crazy rash that had no logic to it. I was lethargic often. I was sleeping often, which was, frankly, Bali was a really good situation for just melting into the land because it's so beautiful and, inviting, and you just it's very villa-like. And so, yet, this bigger thing. This is the thing, the money is the easiest fucking part. And see, right? What it really is, to really play this power game, to really play this power game, it's going to take energy, and every single thing that's in the way is going to exacerbate. That's why my fibroid thing just blew up. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how it really peaked and grabbed me like, no, Naima, you're fucking going. And, the rash. And so I want you to look at what's chronically like, you're just like so fucking over it. You could just stab your own self in the throat. Like, what is the thing that you're just like, I'm just so fucking done with this shit, right? For me, it was the lethargy. It was like even considering suicide. Like, are we still doing this, Naima? Like you was doing this years ago and you've done this several times throughout the last couple of years. Like, really? Like, are you going to be here or not? Like, this is a real esoteric but real thing for masters. Those of us who were born with this particular wiring where the resentment around being a human, right? I remember getting a theta session years ago where it was pulled from me that I resented being human. And I did, and I had never put language with it. And I have gone in and out of that resentment over the years. And here I was in Bali in July, like, I don't even know if I'm going to be here. And I'm dying in the process. Physically, it's showing up. The illness, just like, do I want to go, do I want to play this bigger, higher, larger, massive game that's way beyond money? It's not even about 7 figures or multiple 7 figures. We're talking about 8 fucking figures and true leadership and true precision in the direction that we're going, really making decisions in that direction, really showing up as the fucking force that I am, and having all the pieces in place and walking in congruency with that and being available for the all that comes with being that person. And the answer was no at the time. And so even not making a decision is a decision. So here I am now, I moved from Bali to the south of France. So here I am now in the south of France in the most pathetic state, frankly. And it's so weird. It's strange because I was like on the beach, and I remember a girlfriend of mine came down. She was already there actually, and we hooked up and we were having a good time, but there was it's just wild how this can happen. And yet I'm like not even sure I want to be on earth. And here I am like on a fucking Ferris wheel, and we're like sharing meals, and I'm like feeling this joy, but it's tainted with misery and like an expiration date. And it's just such a weird polarity to have these kind of experiences. Anyway, I'm just sort of reliving this as I'm telling this. Okay. So an attorney friend of mine offered this like a 30-day get back into your health thing, right? And here I am still undecided about what I'm doing. But because either the people will demand it or the force will demand it. Like it's gonna come one motherfucking way or the other. So for some odd, weird reason, I decide I'm gonna join her 30-day thing. And so the deal was she and I were gonna do our workouts independently because she lived in Canada. I was in the south of France, and we report to each other every day. So we would inbox each other on Instagram like, okay, this is what I did, and hold each other accountable that way for 30 days. So the very first day of this 30-day affair, I go jogging, beautiful yacht-lined marina in the south of France. It's a 30-minute jog. I get back to my apartment feeling like, oh, I just fucking crushed it. It is on, right? I'm bedridden for 4 fucking days. I'm bedridden. When I say bedridden, I mean when I get up to go use the bathroom, I can barely stand, and I have to hold my head low and walk fast to the bathroom and nearly collapse on the toilet because something's going on, right? Then I need food. I need fucking food, right? And do I need food? I want to go walk. I need to like get up because now it's 2 days and I've been in the bed, and I want to go walk. I go walk to the store to get myself some water and some refreshments and just get my body going. Before I even make it back to my apartment, I'm throwing up. There's no reason for me to be throwing up. I'm not sick. I'm not right in the typical way, right? So I clean my mouth off after I finish throwing up. I make my way back to my apartment and I lay down and I'm in bed for 2 more goddamn days. And I also had my period. Now with fibroids, some of the symptoms are extremely heavy bleeding, large abdomen, and I had those things. And losing a lot of, with all the bleeding, there's losing a lot of blood. So then that thing sets in. What is it called? When you lose a lot of blood. I can't think of it right now, but maybe it'll come. Something with an A. So that was happening and I didn't even know it. So here I am on an emergency level. I have to come back here to California. And I go to the hospital and I get a blood. I have no idea that this blood thing is an issue with me. I'm just thinking I'm like, tired and just kind of like not interested in life, because a lot of that was the truth too. And I find out I'm anemic. That's it, anemic. I find out I'm anemic. This is how desperate my anemia was. I went and took a blood test. At 2:00 in the morning, a nurse calls me and leaves a voice message saying, Naima, this is blah, blah, blah. This is an emergency call. You need to go to the hospital right now and get an emergency blood transfusion. And she leaves 2 of these messages in the middle of the night, and I don't get them until the following morning. I'm refusing a blood transfusion. In my mind, I'm thinking to myself, I'm refusing a blood transfusion because I don't want anybody's DNA, any of that in me. So I refuse the DNA. I refuse the blood transfusion. So then I go see my OBGYN who we had gotten not only the blood test, but I had gotten those where they scan the inside of your stomach. And she sat down with me and she said, Naima, I just want you to know, because I told her I'm refusing this blood transfusion because she also said you need to go get an emergency blood transfusion. I said, that's not happening. And she said, well, this is what could very possibly happen to you when you walk out of here today. You could just pass out on the ground walking. You could faint while you're driving and run off the road. You could have a heart attack in the middle of your sleep. I want you to know that your blood levels are near death low and you are risking your life if you leave here and don't get an emergency blood transfusion. Needless to goddamn say, I found myself that day at the hospital getting an emergency blood transfusion. And that was the force, okay, that really knocked me into, Naima, are you going to cultivate the energy? Get whatever medical stuff you need worked out to do this thing that's been beating at your door for years. And unfortunately, this extremity is just such a reality for so many of us. And it's a blessing and it's a curse, So I want to acknowledge that that's a reality. And that really was the great pivot for me, because even though I was my being was, the thing that sits in me, and it like takes up my whole being. And that you too, when I say me, I'm saying you, because you and I are very similar. If you are what I described earlier in this video. And that really was the great pivot where I was like, I'm really going to do this. I don't care how long it's going to take. I'm going to cultivate this energy. I'm going to cultivate this power. I'm going to hire who I need to hire. I'm going to practice in whatever way I need to practice. I'm going to scrape and crawl and leap and run and everything that's necessary for me to do to lay this foundation, to get myself in check. Man. And so it is a very real thing to be, it's just a mess. And to be in a hole and to make the decision in that hole that you are coming out. And not only are you going to come out and be fine, you are going to come out. Dear God, yes. You, me will come out and we will play the most high, powerful, big, exceedingly mind-blowing game that we have ever played. that we will allow ourselves to be pulled by this body of work and this being that beats, that has beat at us our entire lives, that has dragged us through the mud when we tried to play small, that has dragged us by the throat when we've tried to reduce it and make it insignificant and treat it as, a later thing or a part-time thing or a maybe thing. Darling, if you truly are a natural born witch, oracle, shaman, visionary, born with supernatural powers, born with a reservoir of power and abilities that will not unleash its fullness to you until you commit a whole new commitment, a commitment beyond the next level of commitment that you've never committed to. Where you are willing to cry and fight and do it, not even try, because we don't try. In commitment, we don't try, we do it. And to get around the right people, have the audacity, the care, where you care so much to say yes, to play in the paradox, to listen and respect it enough to move in that direction, to look at yourself honestly through a lens of love, which is truth, by the way. Real truth is love. No matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult and striking and piercing it feels, real truth is love. If it hurts, you are loved. And yes, there's a nuance there that I won't go into now. But to even laugh again, gosh, to open yourself up to the awe and to do all the work that's necessary so you can even be okay with open up to the awe, resolving all the health stuff, the mind stuff, getting your practices in place, eating right. 2 weeks ago, I fully banished sugar. When I say fully, I mean no ketchup, no bread that has sugar in it. You know those sneaky ways that sugar shows up in food? I have never done this before. It's a new fucking way of playing and commitment. Having our bodies and our minds at levels that we've never had them at. Cultivating endurance. Even at my 7-figure level, I was drinking. I'm an extremist. When I do it, I motherfucking do it. So I down like 3 dirty martinis in like a 30-minute window. If I was doing sugar, I'm eating 3 fucking pastries. I'm fucking doing it. And this is really just to speak to the fact that just because you're making the money doesn't mean you're playing at the highest level. I had all the material things. All of it, the gorgeous apartment in Paris, the money, the everything, the traveling, all the shit that everybody is selling right now, done. That does not mean happy if you're not going. The real thing that you were born to do. So engaging in the health that's necessary, engaging in having the right people, and the thing is, before you say yes to walking through the door of master, because the real commitment is walking through the door of master and doing the work you were born to do. Before that, you don't even have the space to let the right people in and have them stay in. You don't even have the space to, because I'm telling you, it shows. It shows when you've really made the decision. It shows in your decision making. It shows in it shows. And so I've said enough here. You're just going to see. You're going to see. It's hard. It's hard. I acknowledge that it's hard. And I acknowledge that we were fucking made to do it. Our blood, our wiring, the way we are deep down, beneath the shame, beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, beneath the bullshit and the cheap drama. You know it. I know it. So motherfuckers about to start getting slapped. And when I say motherfuckers, I mean you. And me. Like slapping shit into correctness. I'm really grateful to be in this place. I have fought to be here. And this is just the beginning. So I will share things as they're prepared to be shared. Roundtable 2020 requires you to come to France, immerse with fellow masters, and start to shift at a core and permanent level. One of the reasons why I retreated 2 years ago is because there was nobody that I could find that was really playing the power game with that had the level of expertise. And when I say expertise, I don't mean because they've studied for 10 years. I mean because they are the epitome of it. And have the capacity to really be with the fullness of the esoteric, the fullness of power, the range of humanity from the ecstatic to the desperately torturous. And so when you come into my world, you come at a very high order. It's required. And you already are it. And you slice through all the bullshit. That's where the slapping happens. Slap. And so Roundtable 2020 is the place for that. It's where you walk through a very high order, a very tall door, where you are held in highness. Highness does not mean without flaws. There's an awareness of who you are and that you have made a commitment to live from that position and to do whatever work, whatever fighting is necessary for you to get in line and walk that narrow path so you can show up cleanly, wholly, honestly, and bring in your original body of work to the marketplace powerfully, profitably. Let's motherfucking go! Baby, you will need energy. It's non-negotiable to be consistent, to show up as who you are. Look at us. I'm just feeling into how I am now and who I will continue to be with this energy and who I was on video just a week ago. You have to build that up. That's what I've been doing. I've been pulling back my pieces. I did a post 2 months or so ago where I said when I decided I was going to be here, I started calling in my pieces. The pieces of me that I let flit and flat all over the universe and other territories because I wasn't sure I was going to be here. And I decided to be here and I started calling them in. And when you start calling them in, it hurts. It's exhausting. It's tiring because it takes energy to cultivate power, to pull power, to cultivate power, to pull power, to cultivate power, to pull power, to cultivate power. And then condense it, like really, learning how to condense. Like you're going to learn these things. If this feels way beyond you and super advanced, you got this. You will learn this. And for some of you, even come into remembering it and then cultivating the skill in a community where we're harnessing the power of the few in physical space. That's what coming to France is about. I'm done for today. I will see you mañana. Thank you.